So this is our Engineering by Design curriculum review. So we have grade 2 curriculum, and it's titled From Nature to Me. So a little bit of an overview. It focuses on hands-on inquiry and design while exploring biomimicry. Biomimicry is learning about how we obtain tools for scientific discovery from nature. And then this curriculum also integrates STEM concepts through environmental context of learning about bees and researching why they seem to be disappearing.
Some facts about our curriculum are the exploration focus is that students will collaboratively explore how animals spread seed and how their environment is suitable for habitation. The design challenge is that they will create a device that will travel on land or air to disperse seeds. There are 20 lessons in total, which follow the 6E learning cycle, which is engage, explore, explain, engineer, enrich, and evaluate. The curriculum aligns with 6 different sets of standards, which are all listed here on the slide. And then all of the course materials are linked into a Google Sheet for educators to use. There are a few different assessments with this curriculum. The formative assessments are hinge question, think, pair, share, 3-2-1 reflection, exit ticket, and 1-sentence summary. There are 2 different summative assessments. There's an analytical rubric that is used to score students' solutions to the design challenge, which is in lesson 18. And then there's an assessment provided in lesson 20 for conceptual understanding, which is multiple choice and has short open-ended responses. Lastly, students also are creating a STEM notebook for reflections of their learning, thinking, and level of understanding. And in that notebook, they're going to be recording observations, data, notes, and more.
So there's also a design challenge incorporated in this curriculum, and it's called the Seed Spreader Challenge to go off of the focus. So the students will create a device that will either travel on land or air to disperse seeds, and they will identify which plant or animal the inspiration came from and what qualities are mimicked. The device will be attached to a balloon, and the device must disperse seeds as it moves along the string that's attached to the balloon. So we pointed out some beneficial parts to this curriculum. Our first one being materials. We liked how in this curriculum, they provided an organized list of all the materials relating to the lessons for the teachers to use. And then we also have learning support sections that we looked at, which provided suggestions for differentiation for the lessons that are included. So this is helpful that there were other ways shown to support students. An example could be with the STEM notebook, it may be easier for some students to draw sections instead of writing if that's too difficult. Another thing that we found beneficial is the English language learner sections for parts that incorporated literature. So this provided additional learning support sections specifically for ELLs. And this is an important part because students have several different backgrounds or learning ability.
In addition to those 2 sections, there's also enrichment, which is suggestions for extension activities, which is also good for your gifted learners or early finishers, anyone who needs an extra challenge. There also are supporting documents that are listed at the end of each lesson. So once reading through the lesson, the educator can just click to a link directly at the end of each lesson that takes to any worksheets that they would need to go with that lesson. Next, there's a very specific list of safety guidelines that's provided. So educators have clear-cut what they should look for with safety. There are 9 different guidelines.
So moving on to concerns, the first one is there was a large list of objectives at the start of the curriculum, and it was overwhelming to look at. So we thought it would be beneficial to have a more concise version in the beginning for teachers to just look at. And then if they actually go into the curriculum, the more fully written out objectives will be under each lesson that they relate to. And then when looking at the learning support sections again, while they were beneficial, that section was repeated every time under each lesson. So I think it would be beneficial to have specific tasks and support options related to each lesson instead of just having a vague explanation. And then looking at the standards, there's also a lot listed out for each lesson. And I think it's important to look at quality over quantity next time and maybe have more concise standards that relate specifically to each lesson.
Next, we thought that the design of the worksheets could be improved. They could have more writing space and be more visually appealing. So I have some examples of some of the worksheets. For this one, students are supposed to be drawing in the boxes. So this could definitely have a lot more space and be bigger. There's a lot of space at the top of the worksheet that could be utilized. And that would make it much more developmentally appropriate for second graders to have that bigger amount of space to work in. Same with this one, the T-chart is pretty small, so they're supposed to be writing in this T-chart, so there would not be that much room for them to write. Then on this one, they're supposed to be cutting and folding on those lines, and I just felt that this could take up the entire page rather than being that small. Because looking at where a second grader's fine motor skills are, they might not be able to cut and fold that precisely. Then also this is the design challenge brief, or the challenge explanation, which is just black text on a white page. So we thought this could be a lot more eye-catching, and I would suggest a larger print and less words for second graders. Yeah, so just overall improving the design to make it more appealing, eye-catching, and developmentally appropriate. Next, there is some literature and books linked to some of the lessons, and while this is great, we thought that some of the children's literatures could be more recently published, as all of the books that are used are over 14 years old. So you can see the 3 books are from 2009 and then 2 from 1995. So we thought that some updated literature could be good for this curriculum. Next, the connections to subjects. So while there is listed that there's mathematics standards, only one of the 20 lessons actually has those mathematics standards. And then there's 4 out of 20 that do not have any ELA standards. And then every single of the 20 lessons has science, technology, engineering standards. So we felt that there could be more of those connections, especially in the mathematics area. Lastly, we thought that while those long lists of safety lines is really great, we thought that maybe the curriculum could provide a visually appealing poster using student appropriate language, because obviously the teacher would need to take those guidelines that were given and make them more appropriate for second graders. So if the curriculum provided that poster already in child-friendly language, that could be great as well.